In this video, we'll be taking a look at 2 college football games happening on September 29, 2023 and providing you with free team picks and total picks for each one of those games. So 2 picks for each game, 4 picks in total. Welcome back to Cash Out Sports. Let's dive right into it. Oh, and don't forget to subscribe and to click the bell icon to get notified as soon as these videos get released so that you have more time to plan out your bets as we provide these videos on a daily basis. I can guarantee that you'll have all the important information that you'll need on these 2 college football games after fully watching this video. One more thing before we start, if you would like to gain access to our best exclusive sports picks to take your journey to the next level, then check out our Patreon in the link down below where we offer our best single picks, parlay picks, and much more. Now let's get started. Louisiana Tech versus UTEP. Louisiana Tech meets UTEP in a Conference USA matchup on Friday, September 29th. The Bulldogs hold a 2-3 record and are coming off of a loss to Nebraska on the road. Louisiana Tech does have a 1-0 conference record with a win over Florida International. UTEP has a 1-4 record as they have lost 3 straight games. The Miners are 0-1 in conference play with a Week 1 loss to Jacksonville State. The Louisiana Tech Bulldogs need a road win here to get back to a .500 record. Louisiana Tech has lost 15 straight road games. Hank Bachmeier is completing 66% of his passes for 756 yards, 5 touchdowns, and 2 interceptions. Smoke Harris and Cyrus Allen have combined for 607 receiving yards and 5 touchdowns, while Kyle Maxwell has 5 receptions. The Louisiana Tech Bulldogs ground game is averaging 154.6 yards per contest, and Keith Willis Jr. leads the way with 240 yards and 3 touchdowns. Defensively, Louisiana Tech is allowing 28.8 points and 388.8 yards per game. Miles Hurd leads the Louisiana Tech Bulldogs with 50 tackles. Deshaun Hall Jr. has 2 sacks and Jamal Shelby Jr. has 1 interception. The UTEP Miners look to snap a rough 3-game losing streak. UTEP has won 5 of its last 7 home games. Gavin Hardison is completing 56.6% of his passes for 947 yards, 5 touchdowns, and 7 interceptions. Kelly Ackery and Jeremiah Ballard have combined for 460 receiving yards and 2 touchdowns, while Tyron Smith has 19 receptions. The UTEP Miners ground game is averaging 146.2 yards per contest, and Torrance Burgess Jr. leads the way with 298 yards and 2 touchdowns. Defensively, UTEP is allowing 29 points and 403.4 yards per game. Tyrus Knight leads the UTEP Miners with 66 tackles. Morris Westmoreland has 2 sacks and Trez Moore has 1 interception. The Miners have lost 3 of their last 4 games. They aren't very good offensively and they're averaging less than 20 points per game. Their passing game is one of the worst in the country and their running game is just a little bit better. Even though the Bulldogs have struggled against the run this season, their pass defense has been great. With the Miners not being much of a threat to beat them by throwing the ball, expect them to stack the box to stop the run and force the Miners to beat them through the air. The Bulldogs have done a better job offensively and they're scoring more than 25 points per game. They throw the ball very well and their running game is also very good, with the team averaging more than 150 rushing yards per game. The Miners are one of the worst teams in the country when it comes to stopping the run, with the team giving up over 300 rushing yards per game at home, which is why teams haven't bothered to throw the ball against them. The Louisiana Tech Bulldogs are 101st in scoring defense and 129th in rush defense, 2 things you don't want to see when going on the road. Obviously, UTEP has issues of its own on both sides of the ball, but with all that said, I'm banking on home field being the difference here. I'm not running to the window to back either of these teams, but the UTEP Miners are at least at home, and that's where I give the edge in a near pick spot. So the UTEP Miners to win and cover the spread as favorites is our full game side pick. The Bulldogs are averaging 28 points per game and 14 points per game on the road. They average 22 points per game in their last 3 games against the Miners. They run the ball well and they're facing a defense that has been unable to stop the run and is giving up 29.5 points per game at home, so expect the Bulldogs to go over their average in this game. The Miners are averaging 17 points per game and 28 points per game at home. They average 22 points per game in their last 3 games against the Bulldogs. They don't run the ball very well, but they will be able to move the ball on the ground against a defense that has also had trouble stopping the run. The Bulldogs and Miners played under the total in 2 of their last 3 meetings. The offenses for both teams have struggled to light up a scoreboard this season. They both play a very methodical offense with the rushing game taking the forefront. UTEP has averaged just 15 points in their last 3 games, and they scored just 28 against in football championship subdivision team in Incarnate Word. The under has 6 times out of a combined 10 games between these two teams. I think this is going to be a mistake-filled, low-scoring game on Friday night. I truly do believe the total reaching 50 points or more, and this one is extremely ambitious. Under the projected total is our full game total pick. Cincinnati versus Brigham Young University. The Cincinnati Bearcats and the Brigham Young University Cougars meet Friday in college football action from LaVell Edwards Stadium. Cincinnati just finished up against Oklahoma last weekend. In that matchup, the Bearcats lost by 2 touchdowns. As for Brigham Young University, they're coming off a game versus Kansas. The Cougars would go on to fall by 11 points. The Bearcats didn't have any trouble with Eastern Kentucky in their opener, cruising to a 66-13 win. Cincinnati took another victory in Game 2 versus Pittsburgh, a lot closer at 27-21, though Game 3 was the Bearcats' first loss, 31-24 versus Miami, Ohio in overtime. Cincinnati quarterback Emory Jones came up with 265 yards and 2 interceptions in the defeat. In the Oklahoma matchup, the Bearcats were only able to muster a couple of field goals and gave up points in every quarter during a 20-6 loss. Jones finished with 235 yards and 2 interceptions while also leading the rush on 42 yards. Chaman Medair was tops in receiving with 50 yards off 3 catches. Over on the Cougars side, they were able to dispatch Sam Houston 14-0 in their opener this year. Then Brigham Young University cruised past Southern Utah 41-16 in Game 2. In the Arkansas matchup, the Cougars were able to power out a 38-31 victory thanks to 167 yards and 2 scores from quarterback Kedon Slovis. L.J. Martin had a nice day on the ground as well with 77 yards and 2 touchdowns. Last weekend versus Kansas, Brigham Young University had a 17-14 lead going into the second half. The Cougars gave up 24 points from there, however, and lost 38-27. Slovis put up 357 yards, 2 touchdowns, and 2 interceptions. Martin managed 28 rush yards, and Chase Roberts added 5 catches for 89 yards. 2 of the newest Big 12 teams will battle for the 3rd time in both schools' histories. This matchup does not have a rich history behind it, just 2 previous meetings. But as newcomers in the Big 12, this could be the beginning of something as they both feel out their new conference. Cincinnati is 2-2 and has lost 2 straight games to Miami, Ohio and Oklahoma. Brigham Young University is to 3-1 and is coming off a loss to Kansas. Both of these teams are in similar spots where they aren't exactly conference title contenders, but they both have a chance to have 8-10 win seasons and impress their fans and boosters in their first year in the Big 12. Both teams have transfer quarterbacks who are leading their teams, and both have played very similarly. Cincinnati's quarterback, Emory Jones, has been at Florida and Arizona State and has a 62.1% completion percentage with 970 yards, 10 total touchdowns, and 5 interceptions. Brigham Young University has Kedon Slovis at quarterback, who has been at USC and Pitt before Brigham Young University. He has a 60.3% completion percentage with 1017 yards, 11 total touchdowns, and 3 interceptions. This game will come down to which quarterback will play better and have the least amount of mistakes. Cincinnati averages 488 yards on offense per game compared to Brigham Young University's 324.5 yards. This is the biggest difference between these two teams' stats. The Bearcats average 39 points per game to Brigham Young University's 31, and their defenses allow similar numbers. I think Brigham Young University's home field advantage could be a big factor in this game. This will be their first real home test this year, but they are coming off a road win at Arkansas in Week 3. They are 2-0 at home this year and are 16-3 in their last 3 years. Despite them averaging more yards on offense, they are 3-9 against the spread in their last 12 games. Brigham Young University is 7-1 straight up in their last 8 games, and 13-2 in their last 15 games played in September. Brigham Young University is the underdog at home, and because these teams are so similar, I will take the home dog and the points. Brigham Young University has a very good home field advantage, and their fans are going to come ready, and this matchup could become a future rivalry. So the Brigham Young Cougars to cover the spread as underdogs is our full game side pick. Both teams have had the over go 3-1 in their games this season. The Brigham Young University defense has certainly helped the cause, allowing 34.5 points per game in their last 2. Cincinnati only saw a total of 26 points scored in their last game, but the Oklahoma defense was extremely tough for them to score on. Despite being able to move the ball, Jones will have time to throw and expect him to light it up in an effort to make up for last week's lack of points for the offense. Both teams are looking to get that first Big 12 win, so I'm expecting a bit of a shootout shootout here. Over the projected total is our full game total pick. That's all for now, so if you have any other games you would like reviewed, then leave a comment down below with the game you would like analyzed. Subscribe to our channel, leave a like on this video, and we'll get to it as soon as we possibly can. We would also love to hear your opinion on the picks presented to you in this video, whether you agree or disagree with them, so leave a comment down below and do let us know.